I'm watching Sharon Osbourne be shocked about, she felt blindsided and I can't believe my friend did this to me. And as she was talking to my man, Kevin Frazier, who I love, who's a fellow Taurian like we are,
Yes, yes.
I'm looking at her and I'm saying, how do you think, and I know there are exceptions to this, but is there a space to trust white people for black folk in terms of our heart, in terms of our, like you think Cheryl Underwood's your friend, and you may come to her house, she may come to your house, y'all may kiki, and you may share some things.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you're still a privileged white woman who can never understand how regular, because Cheryl Underwood's like a regular black person. She has
A regular black person.
she's not, she's not one of them elites that I mean, and not that she's not elite, because I'm sure she's got bank and she's got some fame, but there's levels to this. And I was like, I have white people in my life who I'm certain believe that we're good friends. But I know that there's a line up to which I cannot cross. And like, I'm not going to give you my whole heart. And maybe it's different for people in relationships with so-called white people. I personally I've never had, a romantic relationship with anyone not black. As a matter of fact, my father, when I was dating this guy who was brown skinned, my father was very dark skinned. He was like, finally, someone who looks like me, In my little mind, I was like, oh, okay. So you
Karen, that
watching.
is hilarious.
So I never wanted to dishonor, and it's not even dishonor, but there are levels to this.
That is hilarious. Well, I mean, I do think that there are places in the heart of people of African descent that we can love white people. I think that they are most safe. The most safe places in that heart are the ones that are farthest away. So I mean, it's interesting. The president of Ghana, fascinating me these days, man. This guy, Nana Akufo-Addo. Of course, no head of state. They're all politicians. Every politician in the world, shares a certain kind of, they're political animals for the most part. But he came after this cat, Kufuor, I guess. Mahama was president before. But at any rate, he's been in politics a long time in Ghana. But he gave a talk recently in Switzerland. And the leadership of Switzerland was there, Prime Minister Ra. And he's like, I love how continental Africans learn to throw shade at Europeans, because it's couched in all of the beautiful language that the Europeans use. This is a good subject to the crown. I want to thank the Swiss people. They have always been partners. They came to Ghana very early. They set up the school that, in fact, my father went to and I went to. So it's very, and he says, and now the woman who leads Switzerland started with, every Swiss child grows up with gold coins and chocolate coins. And they know these are very dear to us. They're gifts. But they do not know that we owe the Republic of Ghana for them, because it is from Ghana that the gold comes and the cocoa comes. Yes. And then she said, we have a partnership. We have the market and they have the materials, basically. So he gets up and he's very nice. You think, oh, he really likes these people. And you see his entourage there. And I loved it because it was intergenerational. A couple of young sisters sitting, they had African clothes. It's very nice, and the brother's son had suits on, so it's a mix of stuff. And these white people just surround, just smiling. And he gets through and he says, and we're very happy and very fortunate for this partnership. He says, however, at this stage in our development, in order to be good partners, we Ghanaians feel we must be able to reach out and connect and to exchange in a way that will develop all of our peoples. And we know that you support us in this. They smiling. So basically, he says, therefore, we're going to keep the cocoa in Ghana and build our own plants and make our own chocolate and develop. And we hope that these markets will continue. And their faces, he cut them off. The cocoa is gone, baby. Swiss Miss.
I
it was a G, boy.
I parked it. So listen, And oh my God,
Let's look at your face. See, I can see the desire in your heart.
Well, here's the thing, Dr. Carr, I was going to ask you today. We're 240 characters and out, right? We double Dutch everything.
Everything.
We're in and out. And I saw the story. I thought I had thoughts about it, and then got distracted, moved on. But it was powerful because I'm like, all my life we talk about the Swiss chocolate being the most amazing chocolate in the world, and it ain't never come from them.
Not 1 ounce.
And when I saw the Ghanaian story, I made that connection. I was like, Swiss chocolate. I wonder if the watches are also bastardized. I wonder.
How about that? The gold damn sure is.
Please speak on that.
No, he cut them off.
So what does that mean? So Zimbabwe's like, get the hell off our land.
Right.
Get on out of here. Get out of here. And people are like, I can't believe we've been on this land for hundreds of years and they're coming in and making us leave. Like what color is your skin? Are you African? Like this is your land? So if the Native Americans said, get the hell up out of here.
Right. Oh, I'd be very happy and say, okay, now I have a problem because I got to figure out where to go and figure out. I think I would have less of a problem and you would have less of a problem than a lot of our kin. But 2 things. I don't think that, first of all, well, 3 things. First, if they could get together for there to be a quote unquote Native American to make that declaration, all these various peoples. And I think that it probably could be worked out, but as with everything else in the Western construct of political system, like we talked about when we talked about royalty and these things, these forms of government are really Western forms. This is why CLR James and Basil Davis and so many others have said this form of government is not natural to most people in the world. And not to say that it doesn't have some very important benefits, but in theory. But it will be difficult because, of course, now the Native American groups have these tribal councils. Some of the people in the tribal councils at the top level are no different than the white politicians. They bought out and they got tribal police forces that are in bed. Which I mean, it's, but if they could get to that, number one, and make that declaration, number two, I think there are many of us in this land where those human beings were initially, who they would not disinvite. And I think Black people would fit broadly into that category for 2 reasons. One, there are so many commingled bloodlines, probably the most obvious of which would be like the Seminoles of Oklahoma, who marched across with the Trail of Tears, although there's a lot of internal problems in the Seminole Nation with the Black Seminoles, because they want to cut some people in the Seminole Nation, want to cut them out of land, cut them out. So there's problems there. But there's a lot of commingling. And the other reason is, I think there's a sense of shared oppression and shared humanity. And then the other thing is, so if they could get together, and then I don't know that it would be everybody. I think that Black people might fit in that other category of, well, y'all, we could probably work something out with y'all because y'all didn't ask to be here. And then the third category would be us finding a place to go. And again, as I said, I mean, looking at Akufo-Addo the other day reminded me that the African Union has been working on, in fact, they already have a diplomatic version of a passport that allows the people in that kind of diplomatic valence to travel anywhere in Africa. So really for intents and purposes of visas and entrance and exits for different countries, that passport converts all the countries, the 54 countries of Africa, into 54 states. So it makes the United States of Africa real for somebody with that passport. And of course, the rhetoric in the AU is there's 2 things. Number one, they say, we are now going to try to figure out, this was the first step. Our ultimate vision is that everybody in Africa has one of these. But then the other thing for us, for you and me, and it's what, maybe 1.25 billion people in Africa right now. Maybe 40%, like he was saying to them, in Ghana, 40% of our population is teenagers and younger. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, we're coming. But there's that number as well outside of Africa and the diaspora. Haiti, which, Haiti is, they considered in the African Union extending an invitation to Haiti to become a member state. And they split. There were African countries who were against it. There were African countries who were for it. There's the external meddling because Europe don't want, America don't want, because once you extend to Haiti, and nobody say nothing. Next thing you know, well, let's get Jamaica and Trinidad in. Well, let's get Guyana in. Let's get Barbados in. Okay, but they do have what they call a sixth region concept. We're in the sixth region. They classify everybody in the diaspora as region 6. The bombshell will be when they invite region 6 to get a passport like that. At which point we'd be like, oh, Native Americans, cool, I'm gone. Why? Africa. Africa's not a country. You see this here? Just a passport. They let me go anywhere. So for intents and purposes of getting out of Dodge, this is Africa is a country. I mean, so it's not like those conversations haven't been held. But in terms of, well, you asked, you know, is there a place for loving white folk? I thought about in terms of that, you know, trust.
Wait, and I want to say this, you know, because you and I are always gonna be honest.
No
and
question.
I know for some people listening, this is you know, struggle for black and white, because I think, you know, what I'm saying is that there's 400 years of us having to never be seen, to not be our full selves, to not be considered whole human, no matter how we see ourselves, no matter how we see one another. There's the structure, the power structure that has relegated us to certain things. I had this beautiful conversation with, you know, for narrative, with a professor about Plessy, Homer Plessy, who could pass.
Homer Adolphus Plessy, no question, 1/8 black. That's right.
And she said the beauty of him is he was working class. And after the loss of the lawsuit, there are records of him voting, which he could not vote legally because he was black, even though he didn't phenotypically look black, but he was able to pass to demand the thing that he wanted to do, which was to vote. And they couldn't tell that he wasn't black, so he voted.
Yeah.
Which race really stupid, but the construct of it forces us into these boxes, into these places where I can't trust you because you're not forced to do the work to see me as human.
Right.
So at some point in our relationship, the things that you've been taught over the last 400 years about me and my people will rear its ugly head, as it did with Sharon Osbourne, who was in her mind just defending her friend. Yeah. Piers Morgan. I'm just defending. He's not a racist. I haven't tell me where he's racist, because we've been taught racism is the N-word, it's cross-burning, but it's not. It's all of the subtleties of dehumanization, all of the subtleties of, I like you, Cheryl Underwood, but the rest of your folk, I won't say it, but there's a cadre of blackness that I can't see as equal to me.
That's right. You're an exception.
Right. So the magical exceptional Negro, which all black people are ingrained to want to be, we see it show up, you know, which is why we can't trust some black people, Daniel Cameron and Ben Carson and you know, they're people we can't trust even. So that sets us up to have these walls around our heart and around our consciousness to not allow people in. But for so far, I could like you. I can even love you as a person, because I do believe that we have the capacity to love people. But I don't trust you. So
well, I mean, you can't. I mean, it's not rational to trust. First of all, you shouldn't trust white people. And by that, I mean, as long as white people lead with whiteness, they can't be trusted, because whiteness is the reason why in a race-based society, you can't trust white people. So there's nothing we can do. And there's nothing we should do, in my opinion, to attempt to make ourselves vulnerable to trust when the historical circumstances out of which whiteness was created and the contemporary circumstances out of which it is maintained make it illogical. Why would you trust a thing that literally threatens your life? It's foolish. And so, and to make that a little bit more concrete, I think, you know, when we look into this Piers Morgan situation and look at Cheryl Underwood and you know, Sharon Osbourne, I mean, Sharon Osbourne is white, which means in her whiteness, she looks at everyone as an individual. But what she can't see is her whiteness makes that impossible for those of us who, because of whiteness, are clustered as a group. So Cheryl Underwood cannot experience a pure individual-based relationship with a white person, because a white person means that she is black. So in order to trust her, okay, I'm gonna come to you as a person. No, you're not. because you asked me a question and then expect me to answer it. It would be foolish for me to do anything other than, I'm not answering that, to a question like, show me where he's racist. I'm sorry. Your whole existence is based on whiteness, which is the definition of racism. And you want me to explain to you how an individual who is also white would make a judgment about somebody who isn't, and based entirely on that system. But you want me, the victim of that system, to explain to you how. Here's my answer. Don't even engage. He said, because all you're doing, the minute you start trying to answer, you're reinforcing the hierarchy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody coming in slavery and says, hey, Kizzy, explain to me how this chain on your ankle hurts you. Or better yet, explain how this chain on your ankle makes me less human. Kizzy, because I don't understand. And Kizzy's like, well, master, see, oh no, the minute you started talking, you legitimized the chain. You're gonna try to explain the chain. If he can't see the chain, that's his problem. Your problem is breaking the chain. And I think that's where it's very interesting. I know, we'll talk about this at some point. I was talking to my students yesterday, whenever it was, about I'm trying to whenever it was about the recent recording industry awards, which I don't watch and I haven't watched for quite some time. As Chuck D said before they gave a little statuette to Will Smith for the quote unquote first rap Grammy, he said, who gives a F about a GD Grammy? And then, but why apparently all of you do. And so, hey, we've come a long way when you can stand on the stage before billions in the world and sing about WAP. Apparently, that's progress. We've made progress, but at least some people think. But in that process, and I'm not talking about empowerment, I'm just talking about the idea that this is considered to be the best of your people. This is the topic on which we look to you for elevating the conversation around what culture and the purpose of it. So this has nothing to do with empowerment and base and being able to speak truth to power. I'm just saying, if you can perform that for your Queen of England, if you can perform that at the White House, if you can do that at the Kennedy Center Honors, then absolutely, I want you to do it here at the Recording Industry Awards. But if you cannot do it in those places, or perhaps even for your own, perhaps elders at the church, okay, then if you can't do it there, then I would say probably save that performance for when it's you and your friends in the circle, and then think of the thing that you want your little children and the elders and everybody, when they're surrounded and saying, this is the thing that represents us, think of that performance, because we know you're quite capable of doing both, because you clearly have the talent. This ain't about talent. This is about, if you got one thing to show the world about who you are, and then you wonder why when you get off the plane in Kingston or Accra or Cape Town or Lagos or Cairo or Johannesburg, the first thing people who look like you say to you is, hey, that's that WAP. Why y'all? I'm offended. What? I'm sorry. That's all they saw. Do you understand that you put that? I didn't want to do it. The money was there. Okay, well, then you got a choice to make. But at any rate, the other night when that thing came on, and then the students, I asked them about the performance of, and I'll say it because that's his stage name. I know it's not, Mama didn't name him that. Lil Baby, apparently. Yeah, we've gone to that. I remember years ago, one scholar said, how do we get from the Supremes, the Four Tops? How do we get from the Miracles to 50 Cent? And say, oh, if you think that was a drop, where do you get to this? Lil Baby. So, well, how did we get from the anyway? So Lil Baby's performance of a song that's very popular. He's from Atlanta, it's anti-police violence and there's all this theater. I didn't watch, so I had to go back and look at it because I knew that these students in this hip hop class I needed to ask them about this. And so I'm watching, and then there's a cameo with a line from, there's Tamika Mallory, of course, and who is, basically moved to Louisville in terms of trying to press for justice for Breonna Taylor, her family, along with Linda Sarsour and others. And then Killer Mike comes on with a verse. And it's all, Biden, you got to do right. We're not putting up with this anymore. We've been here for 400 years, blah, blah. And it's like, it's all, yeah. But then, Lord, and I'm sure you saw this.
I did not. I didn't watch. I didn't watch.
Oh,
I haven't
oh,
seen
yeah. I didn't know. No. That. The reason I went to watch that is because I was alerted to it by what came after that.
it. Okay.
Apparently, for several months, Samaria Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice, has been in social media very consistent, very loud about what she's calling race hustlers. And these race hustlers that she is labeling as these Black Lives Matters hustlers. And she has said one of them is Tamika Mallory. And well, after the performance, apparently either late that night or the next day, Ms. Rice went on social media and said, "I'm tired of you Black Lives Matter bees. Y'all out here, pimp the music of the movement. That's why I'm F with y'all. That's it. I tried to be quiet. All of y'all, F you, Ben Crump, Daniel." She started naming. She said, "Y'all, nah, y'all done pimp. What have you lost? What have you been at?" I mean, she went off. Ms. Rice went off. So I asked the students, what y'all think? And the students to a person, there's a lot of interesting conversation, but there were several things that emerged that you would expect to emerge from Black people. Number one is, of course, forever, until she draws her last breath on this planet, Ms. Rice gets a pass. That's number one. You know what I'm saying? You lost your son, and I'm thinking, I don't know Tamika Mallory well. I've met her a couple of times. We've had conversation. I know her son, for example, is an undergrad at Morehouse, around the same age as Tamir Rice would be if he's an ancestor, but if he were physically here. So part of what drives her, of course, is this notion that they're all our children. We're all together. And so there is that. So I wouldn't lump her with everybody else. At the same time, Ms. Rice gets a pass because her boy will be 18 right now. I mean, so you get a pass. Whatever hey, in fact, anything you say, we should take all the energy that we might debate with her and turn it toward the reason why she got a debate in the first place. You know what I'm saying? As Muhammad Ali said, you my opposer. I'm not mad at her. She's with us. You understand? That mother lost her child. So that's number one. The other thing they said was, it was very interesting because it said, this is what happens in a system where people who oppress us claim to want to be allies, and then, drop a little money in. There's a lot of money now being flowed into stuff. And the next thing you know, it's money involved. And so the money is commingling with the pain, is commingling with the whole thing around which this society is organized now, which is platform, which means, what do you do when you are a celebrity that people listen to and you want to join the fight? So it's not, in other words, like the young people said to me, it's complicated. Does Megan not say anything? Does Killer Mike not say anything? You got the microphone. Everybody talking about this damn microphone. You got it. Wouldn't you rather them say something? Yeah. And so then it comes down to the Grammys. And I asked them, I said, when are people going to stop worshiping that little statue? I said, y'all seen that little statue, that little Victrola, that little recording device and thing that played records that you've never seen, that you never used? Yeah. I said, let me show you a picture. So I pulled up you remember this, Karen. We were children. They didn't play them, but if we were fortunate and went to old people's house, we might see one. But we know that old RCA logo with that dog looking into the Victrola, and the phrase is, his master's voice. I said, so that little statue they giving out, that's that little statue of the little record player that was on the RCA logo when the dog was looking into the thing because he heard his master's voice. I said, when are we gonna stop listening to our master's voice? When do you want? But if they invite Tamika Mallory, because they know that, and by they, I mean the recording industry, that they can't continue to be in business without the Black market or Black cultural production, because that's what's driving the white consumer market. That's what's driving the K-pop consumer market. That's what's driving the global. So in other words, I've got to make space for them to beat me up, because if I don't let them beat me up with their words, they might turn around and beat me up with their money. They might turn around and beat me up with their votes. They may build their own thing. So, but if you're Tamika Mallory, they come to you and say, listen, we want you to, or better yet, in terms of this fake allyship and friendship, listen, sis, because they listening to the language now. Listen, sis, we want you to come and perform this. If you're Tamika Mallory, do you say, I'm not going to take this moment when everybody, including people, none of us should be watching this, but since all of y'all watching it, let me drop 30 seconds in here where I roast Joe Biden and I say all the stuff I've been saying in the street in Louisville when the damn police are out there trying to kill us and they killed my sister. Do you not say that? And no, you probably say that. And then if you say that and Miss Rice comes at you, do you say, you know what? I'm going to eat all that and I'm going to try to be better. I mean, it's complicated, but all of it finally comes to this. And it's interesting in the context of a woman like Islanda Robeson. All of it comes in the context of who we are to each other, not who we are to other people. That's why when we developed the curriculum for Africana Studies, we said we must ask young people to ask two first questions. Who are you to these people outside of you? So in the Grammy sense, in that performance sense, we are a commodity. We are something to grab culture from for sale and to sell things back to. Who are we to each other? We are grieving mothers. We are women who are saying, I'm gonna get out here, I'm gonna grab my brother and I'm gonna grab my nephew and I'm gonna grab my niece and we all gonna be here together. You're not gonna split us up around gender. You're not gonna split us up around class. You're not gonna split us up around commodity. And that's who we are to each other. And for someone like the Robeson, Paul and Islanda, particularly Essie.
Pause for a second, because they're not getting this. We're gonna pause. This is going into narrative. We're gonna have a conversation about Islanda Robeson's wife, but so much more than that, because I think a lot of times women get distilled into being such and such's wife. I never heard about her until you brought her up several months ago. But we're gonna have a whole conversation in narrative. So sign up.
Oh, that's right. Oh yeah, y'all gonna have, you really don't want to miss this, because this woman is beyond remarkable. She is just as a tease. She is her mother's people are out of South Carolina. Her grandfather was not only one of the first statewide elected black.
Too much right now, Dr.
Too much.
Way too much. Yep. No.
Okay.
No, I'm just gonna have to come.
Islanda Cardozo Good Robeson. You've heard of Paul Robeson, maybe, which tells you one thing. You should have heard Paul Robeson before anybody. And if you ever hear the name Paul Robeson without Islanda Robeson, stop whoever's talking and say, wait a minute, isn't it Paul and Islanda Robeson? And if they say, I don't know, then say, hold on, because I was watching narrative. I got questions about Essie. You know what I'm saying? Because in fact, if there weren't an Essie, we might, in fact, with good possibility, we would never have heard of Paul. That's how heavy Islanda Robeson is.
Narrative with the K is silent like knowledge. We're gonna go over there and have this conversation about her.
Yes.
Dr. Carr for this detour, but it's never a detour.
No, never.
The other thing, in this truncated this space that we don't leave for actual knowledge, we miss a lot. So we gotta go on this journey and fill in blanks and have these conversations and suss out our heart and our minds and grow into who we're gonna be. So I love
no, it's true. And like I say, I hope y'all make sure y'all go over there, because you really have to understand that this is a seamless fight and we all want the same basic things. We want people to be able to eat, to have a safe place to stay. We want all their material comforts and not comforts. We want their material needs to be met. And this world can meet those needs so that they can be human in the world. And a lot of the animosity we have toward each other is driven by scarcity. It's driven by, I didn't eat, or I see you drive by in this nice vehicle and I'm walking. I mean, so all those resentments, all those tensions come out of that space. And in a case like Tamir Rice, I'm missing my son again, and I live that every waking moment. I'm in a club.
I'm seeing this person profit. I'm seeing.
Yeah, they'll turn on TV. Yeah. I'm like, what? Right. Are you crazy? Of course, if they invited her to the Grammys, now she got a decision to make.
That's right.
But all of it is being driven by outside. That's the social structure. You see what they doing to y'all? And everybody in that chain didn't just attack Tamir Rice, didn't just attack his mother, didn't just attack his sister, didn't just attack all the people in his family. They attacked all of us. We escaped with our lives, but we didn't we got attacked too. And so when if the students come, Dr. Carr, you don't watch the Grammys? Hell no, I'm not watching the Grammys. I'd ask you why you're watching, but I understand, I think, why. Let's talk about it. But no, of course not. Why would I watch the Grammys? So, but anyway, I said to say that these conversations that we're having, and now, you know, with narrative, being able to really do deep dives into, are the way we free ourselves to be able to love anyone in the world. And we can love everybody in the world. Why? But in order to love somebody, you can't be abusive relationships are not love. Don't they tell y'all that? They tell y'all abusive relationships not love. So this person beating on you and then want to know how come you don't love them. And the minute you say I'm out, they show all the love. You see, this is how this abusive system works. All this stuff is now in the Grammys because y'all threatened to leave in the 60s and 70s. And now all this money, these little trickles of money are flowing to these places because back after Breonna Taylor was killed, it's like, oh, now they're going to threaten, they'll go away. It's a couple of months. Then he killed George Floyd, but it was a pandemic, which meant what? You was up in the house and nobody was at work. And then they got scared for about 3 months. You was just going to walk away from the whole enterprise and maybe even tear it down. So now what do they need? What do they need? It's an abusive relationship. I saw our friend Ibram Kendi the other day. He's on, apparently he's starting a new platform. Again, some more of this blood money has been trickled out. Don't walk away from us money. And he's launching a, what do you say? An abolitionist website / newspaper to be in the tradition of the abolitionist papers of the 19th century. And I thought to myself, I said, now I'm saying to you out loud, number one, this is not in the tradition of any abolitionist newspaper. When you read Frederick Douglass in the North Star and Martin Delany in the North Star, the Pittsburgh Mystery, when you read William Lloyd Garrison in The Liberator, they're fighting against a very real institution called enslavement. Some of them are willing to risk and or give their lives. Some of them ended up giving their lives. And what you are doing is sitting at a university in a very comfortable position and continuing to get subsidy to keep something going that at least I haven't been able to see is making any change in the material circumstances of the people, but you're all over everywhere. So number one, that's not in the tradition of that, because these people were literally declared, some of them, particularly the Black people, were literally declared enemies of the state. You understand? They could be arrested. They could, physical violence. I mean, they've beaten people up. They're smashing printing presses. This ain't even in the tradition of Ida Bell Wells. They burnt her printing press. They smashed her printing press to the ground in Memphis when she said, you know what, we should just leave Memphis. They couldn't protect my friends at the People's Grocery. They lynching us. Get your Winchester rifle and look, let's get out of here. And then so they destroyed her capacity. So now if they threatening you with that, I'm not talking about Twitter beat fingers. I'm not talking about something that you could go on, and say, oh yeah, and the next thing you know, here's another $5 million check. No. You had to be an enemy of state. So I'm saying it to say that when we think about resistance and we think about love and we think about being human in the world and we think about the long struggle, the key to keeping the oppression going in places like the United States of America, one of the keys is to have those of us who suffer under this system because of the way the system is arranged, to never lift our eyes and look around the world for allies, to always keep it within the four corners. Well, it's really not four corners, but in fact, we were talking about that one other time. I was rereading the book, How to Hide an Empire, but because the United States is an empire. So, I mean, so Mariana Islands, we heard the thing about Guam, all this kind of thing, but keep it in the United States. So always make the conversation about racism. And then if the conversation is about racism, make the answer about diversity. Why? Because you've never left us. Racism, okay, we got to do better about race. What can we do? Well, hire 3 more of us. In other words, bring us into your system a few more. Okay, yeah, okay, we could do that. How do we do that? Well, give us a little money, we'll train a few more, and then we'll train a few more, and then in a million years, everybody will be with you. Okay, this is how capitalism works. Everybody can't have a job. Or you understand that that would destroy capitalism? No, it's make the problem racism, make the solution diversity, because then the problem and the solution never leave white people. And if you look around and somebody says, hey, we got out of cocoa, we got out of gold, we got out of rubber, we got out of sugar. Hey, cuz, come here. You ain't got to leave there forever. But look, here's what's this? This is another passport for you to put in your pocket. Let's trade. Then they say, stop. Why? No. Here's a Grammy. Wait, no. Here's a grant. No, wait. No, okay. Thanks for the Grammy. Thanks for the grant. That's very nice. Sorry, can't do it this weekend. Why? Because I'm going to see my cousin in Jamaica, and then we getting on a plane. We're going to land over here in Nigeria because we got this other thing going. No. You can't. Why? Because what you then discover is, oh, the person who made the Grammys, the person who owns the recording studio and the record label, their cousins are already in Lagos, already in Kingston. And they don't want you to find out that while they chose you to keep it in the four corners, they've never kept it. And that's why they call it global white supremacy. The only people keeping it domestic is us. Everybody else is going. Everybody else is worldwide.
So for all of this smoke, head over to Narrative, where we're going to be right now talking about Essie Roberson.
Yes.
Thanks, Dr. Carr. I love you. I'll see you on the other side of this.
Yes.